Hi everybody, this is Dee at Aloha Astro. We're looking at a full moon and a partial lunar eclipse today that will be occurring at 10:35 p.m. September 17th, 2024 at 25 degrees 41 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces. So let's take a look at the forecast for today and the energy that this lunation brings in. Full moon in Pisces, Tuesday, September 17th, is amplified in emotional intensity and spiritual revelation due to a partial lunar eclipse and its conjunction to Pisces ruling planet Neptune, as well as the North Node in Aries, while topping off a kite aspect pattern which draws the energy of a grand trine involving Uranus retrograde in Taurus and Pluto retrograde in Capricorn toward change and transformation as you seek a higher state of awareness and your path to a more self-actualized future. The moon opposing the sun in Virgo forms a T-square aspect pattern with Jupiter in Gemini, and it is overlapped by a second T-square consisting of Mercury in Virgo, Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and Jupiter, emphasizing the necessity of working toward improvement with a flexible and open mind while remaining grounded. It's a time of head in the clouds, feet on the ground, as you are busy with cleaning up the refuse of the past, rehabilitating what can still be of service, while reinforcing your belief in a better version of life. I hear the Spice Girls singing Wannabe. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want, when I look at the T-square activating Venus in Libra, Chiron retrograde in Aries, and Pluto. It may be scary to bare your soul and express hidden feelings, but a trine aspect between Venus and Jupiter in communicative air signs, as well as a quincunx aspect between Venus-Neptune North Node, will enhance friendliness, compassion, empathy, acceptance, and forgiveness, humor, and romance once you begin to share your heart, and chances are the other person has also been wanting to do the same. Intuition and telepathy are at their highest level now, but if you wish to have a confirmation of what you are sensing, go directly to the person involved and use your voice. Reclaim the magic of wonder and awe by communing with nature, art, divine beings, and your higher self. Let's take a look at how the sky looks, and it's busy, as you can see. We've got let me put on aspects to Chiron as well, so that we can see that other T-square. All right, there we go. So, T-squares mentioned. We have two that overlap, kind of shadow each other here, involving the Pisces planets with Saturn retrograde, Neptune retrograde. The moon is sandwiched between the two, but it is pulling away from Saturn. It's in a loose conjunction, and it is more closely conjunct with that North Node in Aries. Then we've got Jupiter involved in that, as well as the Sun. And if we look at Saturn interacting with Jupiter, we can see that it's forming its own T-square there with Mercury, also in Virgo. We've got Mars doing its own thing, and I did not mention this in the forecast just because there's not enough room for everything in a lot of social media posts, and I cross-post to about 12 different sites. So Mars is trine to Saturn, which definitely gives endurance, the determination to take an action in something that you believe in or that needs are calling you to meet, because of the Cancer and Pisces water element and the symbiosis of Cancer, the idea of need and feed that is associated with that sign. But they also are being moderated a bit by that square to the moon and Neptune, where you might not get exactly what you want, but you might get what you need. A lot of songs in today's forecast, actually. We've got just so much energy and so many different ways that it can manifest, and it really is up to us individually as to whether we're going to choose to see things from a positive perspective or allow ourselves to be distracted by things that are more challenging. Uh, Being stuck can actually be, if you reach the point of being stuck becomes intolerable, which is possible due to the fact that we have all of these outer planets in retrograde: Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron. So we have a lot of retrograde energy there. I feel like when that is happening, we're still progressing forward. Obviously, things continue to move, life happens, we continue to grow and expand, but the spiral manifestation of the unfolding of energy is evident in life all around us. And when we have all those retrogrades, I feel like we are on the backwards loop of a spiral where it appears as if we are just going backwards or we are not advancing. Actually, we are. We're just on that back lap. And then as we reach a plateau point, we're able to see around that corner of the spiral energy and see our path forward. So I do feel like there's a shift that occurs at this eclipse season, in this lunation and the next, where we gain that higher perspective if we are looking for it. And also, if the pressure becomes so intolerable or extreme that we utilize our T-squares and the squares and oppositions within the chart and put them to work for us rather than feeling as though they are something that is against us. If everything were simply, at this point, a grand trine and a kite hanging out in the sky, as well as that lovely trine between Venus and Jupiter, we would probably be sitting around bored, maybe overindulging, and not really appreciating the ease or the abundance that we have at the ready. Here we have to work for it a bit harder. Those levels can be achieved, but building the steps to them is a necessary part of going up, either financially, romantically, or in other areas of your life where you are working on becoming more, having more, being more, and shifting your beliefs in your deservability in the process. There are some things here about self-worth and self-esteem as well, while we still have Aries energy and Taurus energy in play in the sky. And I do like that Uranus doesn't have much challenge to it. So this should enable you to be more accepting of changes and to pursue them, take those risks and chances. Even though there are some resistances in other places, this is a planet that is not in challenge with anything else. So go for it, make the changes, step into new things, try new things, while you have the ease and flow of a grand trine and a kite, and because you have the motivating factors here to, first of all, what is it that you really, really want? And are you really communicating that with other people? Are you making it known to them? And, even if it's not what they want, well, then you'll know. And you won't know if you don't communicate and say something. And the communication and remaining flexible and adaptable to other options, perhaps, is important while you have this T-square. It does emphasize some imagination, looking at alternative paths, trying on different roles perhaps until you find what fits. But if you already know what it is that you want, you have to do the work that will meet the universe halfway. Yes, some people may have some extraordinary luck occur at this time because we do have some very nice aspects like the Jupiter-Venus trine and Uranus so well aspected, but it still comes down to a belief that you can accept it, receive it, have it, that you are worthy. And it could be that a whole lot of preparation or a letting go of all the other things that have been saying no to you in your consciousness have been put to rest. And now you are in that state of the non-attachment and no longer maybe even thinking about it. Maybe you've done all the work, you're done doing, and now you're simply ready to sit and be. And that will open the door to the receiving. All right, let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. Before I jump over to that, there's no sun sign really that's exempt from anything at this point in time. Just about every sign has something else interacting with it, whether it's a conjunction, an opposition, a square, a trine, because we have such a very diverse chart with so many planets in so many signs and all around the sky interacting with each other. To a certain extent, the mutable signs are going to feel this a bit more strongly, or anybody who has mutable placements. So you can check your natal chart to see if you have anything in Gemini, anything in Virgo, anything in Sagittarius, anything in Pisces. You might be feeling things more strongly, and falling behind that, next in line would be the cardinal signs. The fixed would be possibly the least that would be under stress to be making massive changes, but they still may be affected depending upon where their planets sit, what signs they are in, because we're all more than just our sun sign. And many sun signs don't feel like their own sun sign because they do have their Venus and Mercury in adjacent signs. And they have perhaps other planets in prominent places within the natal chart, such as, a heavy first house with something other than what the sun sign is. All right, now we can jump off to, so the cardinal signs, that would be Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Those may also be feeling a bit of a pinch because we do have Chiron in Aries, Mars in Cancer, and Venus in Libra at this point in time. Sabian symbol. We're going to round up from 25 degrees 41 minutes to 26 degrees. Phase 356. Watching the very thin moon crescent appearing at sunset, different people realize that the time has come to go ahead with their different projects. Keynote: a keen appreciation of the value of individualized responses to any challenge of life. The rather obscure original notation for this zodiacal degree, a new moon that divides its influences, when translated into practical terms, refers to the fact that, confronted with the opportunity to expand their energy along new lines, modern individuals will react according to their own personal characters. One basic cosmic spiritual impulse will lead these varied personalities to take equally varied steps. In any society that glorifies individualism, everyone should therefore accept this fact and not try to compel other individuals to conform to a single pattern of response. Well, that is certainly not an easy thing to do, to conform right now based on the transits in general. And yet there is an awareness of everything being part of the all that is while we are in a Pisces moon transit. The first symbol of the 72nd and last series of 5 stresses the essential nature of the cyclic process of actualization of human potential, i.e., the emergence of the individual, CF symbol for phase 1. This should lead to a realization of the fallacy of totalitarianism. At times, we can all act like despots, demanding that others react to any situation exactly as we do. Well, looking at the overall here, that T-square involving Chiron in Aries can definitely bring up things like possessiveness, selfishness within relationship if it's taken to extremes. Being tyrannical, maybe, perhaps, but I think that even in a T-square, Venus in Libra wants to seek a balance and a harmony and is still kind of under the governance of social etiquette. This is one of the nicer Venus placements because Libra really doesn't want to lose face or offend or lose a reputation or have people not like them. So no matter what your natal Venus is, or no matter where you have transiting Chiron and Aries right now in your natal chart, I think that Venus can help you in remaining in control when you need to be or when you want to be, and realizing that if you're pushing on boundaries or if anybody else is, that there are ways to handle that in a gentle way because of that quincunx there to the moon and Neptune and the North Node in Aries. Overall, there's a spiritual maturity accessible in the chart right now, but it is always up to an individual whether they are going to want that, choose that, and then do their best to achieve that. As always, to stay safe at this lunation. If it feels a little bit like Mercury is still retrograde, well, we have recently, I think it was the 28th of August, when we came out of Mercury retrograde, and we promptly entered into Mercury squaring Uranus. That's over now, but Mercury is squaring Jupiter and opposing Saturn. That creates a combination of like hurry up and wait, or driving with your foot on the brake and the gas pedal there. There can be a certain amount of confusion and distortion. Ultimately, whatever Mercury retrograde problems are, or the feeling of it right now, I would say that it is to clarify things and to point out where there are errors or problems. And if they are not resolved, then the passage of time is going to do one of two things. Either they'll go away and they won't be as important to you over time. It won't have the same emotional charge. You'll stop thinking about it and it won't be necessary. It will become a redundant thing. Or this T-square, which can feel a lot like Mercury retrograde at the moment with the opposition to Saturn, would make it that if you don't fix something that comes up, you might not have a firm foundation. It'll be like a table that's built incorrectly with one shorter leg, where you're always propping it up with the matchbook underneath, or a wad of tissue or something to keep things stable. So not attending to something if it comes up and needs to be looked at again or fixed because of the nature of Saturn retrograde. It'll be up to you whether you do or you don't, or if you try and it isn't resolved, maybe that is your signal that maybe somebody else needed that thing more than you, and that's why you didn't win that bid, or maybe they got that job or whatever that you apply for. It literally, your angels might have been standing in the way of you getting something that you really desired, because it might not have been good for you in the long run, or there's something better on its way. An affirmation I like to use when I'm faced with the discontent and I'm not able to get what I think that I want in the moment is that I look at what is in front of me and I bless it and I'm grateful for it and I say this or something better. And the square there to Jupiter, while it's in trine to Venus, does give you the option for something better if that is something that you do want to pursue. That is something you'd have to decide for yourself as Jupiter is making a sextile to Chiron. Acceptance is the foundation of receiving is a quote from Stuart Wilde's book, The Trick to Money is Having Some. And I hung that quote on post-it notes all over my home at a point in transition in my life where I didn't know how things were going to happen. I knew what. I had to settle on a when, but the how was really dicey. And everything did fall into place, and it really did come down to the acceptance part, so that things could show up for me that enabled me to go on to the next thing. Take care, stay safe, keep your patience, and I will see you in 2 weeks when we look at the new moon.